Some of you will probably have heard of Leon Festinger. He was a psychologist, I believe, that was studying in the 50s to kind of place him. I could be off by a decade. And he was really interested in cult behavior, and so he and a colleague infiltrated some UFO cult and became members, and were making notes about what they were observing. And this was one of those UFO cults that believed that the UFO was coming and was going to destroy humanity and take them into the spaceship for their faith. And they had a specific date that the UFO was coming. So this was a good test case because they'd be able to look and see what happened when the UFO didn't show up. Common sense would tell you is that once that occurs, the UFO doesn't show up, the massive disconfirmation is there. Pretty much everybody in the cult is just going to bail. They're like, whoops, we were wrong. And that's not what happens. They discovered that that's not at all what happens. And Festinger that came out of this study with the concept that you've much more than likely heard of called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is the feeling of discomfort you have when your beliefs don't match other information that's coming in through your senses. So what he found was that, some of the members of the UFO cult bailed out and said, well, man, weren't we stupid? But it was kind of a minority. And the majority of them actually stuck around, and they were emotionally distraught. And then they started to talk with each other. And in the course of a few days, I believe they came up with an explanation, which was that the UFO had came close enough to see how faithful that cult was, and decided that there is good on Earth after all, and would spare the planet. Mm-hmm. And so what they did was they took the idea and moved it into the unfalsifiable realm. It's not possible to know if that happened or not. So they can assert, well, this must be what happened. And so they've told a story that reconciles their previous beliefs with the evidence that came, even though that story is probably not true. But nobody could tell one way or the other. And so this is kind of the thing that happens, I think, when you look at the development of critical theory, and especially postmodern critical theory, is that these guys, like I said in my talk, were faltering Marxists. Marx had made some pretty specific predictions about how capitalism would lead to its own demise, that the revolution would create itself. That wasn't happening.